Good afternoon, family and friends. Sergeant OCD here. I want to make an extra call out to my brothers and sisters in the military and my brothers and sisters in Christ. Um, I'm adding both of them because I just spent a whole weekend with my brothers and sisters in Christ. And one of my new subs is a Marine who asked for my email address, and I certainly gave it to him. In my description, I think my email is in there anyway. So, in the about. So, without further ado, I want to go through some of the gear I brought. Didn't get to use some of it, but like my SOG axe, which I've got all the steels on it because I'm not buying anything but good steel anymore. So the SOG axe is actually 420, made out of 420 steel, and it got a little bit of use. The problem with axes, throwing axes, especially using them for a primary axe like this Fisker, is the head's not as, it's not as broad. Yeah, the head's not as broad. So it's, I did a lot of batoning with my knives. So this worked out for throwing, more defense than anything. So it's sticking with my defense. I mentioned my SOG knife. I love it. It's made out of a different stainless steel. It's AUS 8 stainless steel. It worked out very well batoning, even though it's serrated. Batoning, making feathers, feather sticks. It was just an awesome knife. So very, very happy with that. I like the sheath. It locks in even if I don't snap it. It's made out of, that hard plastic. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it is a wonderful knife. And I've attached a ferro rod onto it because I'm always using a knife with a ferro rod. And my two 6-inch ferro rods have clips on them, so I could clip it onto my belt loop, my bandolier, and then once the fire starts going, I'm like dropping everything and going for it. But I could clip it on there and I won't lose it. The knife, I made a small monkey knot, a monkey fist, and the knife I can actually pull on that and keep it onto my hand if I wanted to. But it's all preference. Everything is preference. Now this Reaper, I bought this more for, it's a battle axe basically. The Reaper's made out of 420 stainless, and this is a beast. I was cutting everything with this. Again, bigger logs that you had the baton. I could take like 5 or 6 whacks at it, and then it was split. So that was pretty interesting. These two are going to go on my LBE. This is going to go on my LBE. This is probably going to go in one of my side pouches, just like my axe here, my SOG axe. But very happy with that. A little bigger than I thought, but now this little mini shovel, I didn't get a chance to use because I wasn't actually digging fire pits, but it's lightweight enough that I can put it on my pack. This I did use, this SOG. This worked out pretty well. Sharp, and it cuts wood. I mean, it's comparable to the other ones I have, but it doesn't have a broken tip. Let's get to some of the other things that I was carrying. This haversack I carried quite frequently. I was able to put everything I needed to put into it, and if you're gonna go out, take a haversack with you. I know Dave Canterbury, he always talks about the haversacks. He's right. You know, a lot of things like I said, I learned a lot about this. Just going out for 3 days, and I was staying in a cabin, so I didn't get a chance to really put up my shelter, go through my cordage, and use my hammock. But I still was able to go out and start fires with wet wood. I did bring this gut bag, and I had wood like this, dry wood in it. I filled it up twice, and this is all I got left. So I was starting a lot of fires with this. I did find some bark. It's really shredded. Again, I'm not sure what type it is, but this would be good bird nest material. So I took a piece of that bark. There's a lot of tulle poplar out there, but without seeing the leaves, I'm unsure on how to identify it yet. So let's get to my other knife. This thing was with me all the time. I call her Grace. This is the only Damascus steel knife I have, and she's awesome. She'll strike a ferro rod, she'll make feather sticks, she'll do everything I needed her to do. In this little pouch, I did use my Leatherman, the one I fixed the blade on. Blade's still intact, but I used that to pick things out of my fire and didn't burn myself once. When Grace bit me, she bit me on my thumb, cut my thumbnail and my skin, but it was all right. The other knife I had was just an MTech. It works out great. I've showed you that one before. And then I had a couple of these, and this one's dead. Tactical flashlights. But my main thing I carried was these. I have 2 of these headlights here. So the second day, I was able to go out and do basically what I wanted. And I went for a hike. I went and built fires out of wet wood. I just was carrying my gear out. I was gonna go look for a place with this to put up my hammock and a shelter over my hammock, but the wind was just too much, and it started snowing. So the second day, kind of, you know, it was snowing off and on, but it was just cold, wet, muddy, and miserable. I mean, typical things that Corporal Kelly goes out in every time. So I hand my hats off to him for doing that. I'm not a bushcrafter, so I don't ever claim to be. So I got these MTech bags, and this is the small one. I was able to bring my stove, which I put those little conduit clamps on there to widen that out. Yeah, it's still got coffee grounds in it. Container and coffee. This is the first day I've actually been able to get out and go through my gear and make sure everything's good. Of course, I had coffee. But these things are awesome, man. I'm going to go ahead and leave this guy out to clean it. It cooled down quick. I was able to just take it wherever I went and make coffee wherever I went. And that's a lot of things I did. Made coffee. And, you know, I had a all this time to myself. So this was on my side the whole time, and it has a little saw in it. I didn't get a chance to use, but I have some cordage in here. I was able to find like those emergency matches, the orange. I was able to find some green ones. They're smaller. They're not as beefy with the amount of sulfur on them, but it's still fine. I have my whistle in case I got stranded, and cotton balls with petroleum jelly. I used a lot of these, so this is about halfway used. It was really a lifesaver to start a fire in the wet. That was my fire. So the other thing I used in this is my compass. I set up an azimuth and used my reverse azimuth to get back. I had emergency blanket and a poncho. I had my GI poncho too. That was on the bottom of this pack along with my tent. So it's not like I was not going to have cover. So going through the 10 C's of survival, you know, that all the bushcrafters talk about. Well, Canterbury, Dave Canterbury, Corporal Kelly, and Major Andrew. He's Ranger Field Craft and Survival. But I'm going to refill this. So, you know, this is the post-mortem type of thing that you want to go right back through your gear. This one I used a lot with Grace. Had a bag with me, keep forage, and of course I had a spork with me. The rest that's in here are books to identify trees and stuff, but I wanted to show you this cool little thing that I made for a bellow. So yeah, that was pretty handy to blow all my fires. But I'm learning how to identify trees. So the other pouch I have here, I got a bandana here, another headlight, lighter with tape on it, and another bandana, and I have a candle in there, an actual candle. So candling devices I excelled at. I can't think of anything that I didn't have that either was in my car, which I'm glad it's raining today and yesterday because it is a muddy mess. Boot knife, the Kershaw boot knife, I didn't really carry with me. I hate boot knives that go into regular. If it's not a combat boot, I don't really want to wear it. And that is, it's just regular stainless steel. That's another defense item. So I'm not concerned about using that or having the blade go dull on me, because you know the Damascus steel and the Aus 8 steel that I was using, they're still sharp as can be. So that's some of the stuff I wore. I kept my shemagh with me. I got this raincoat, tactical raincoat that worked out well. All I had was a pullover hoodie, and it's got these pockets. I got a lighter in. Actually, I think there's a knife in this one. I got a little Swiss Army knife. Fresno lens, things that you would need. And I got a compass in the other side. Yeah, I got a compass in here, one of my dad's old ones. Really sentimental to me. So that worked out awesome. So I did carry an A bag with me with my emergency blanket, which that has cordage on it too. So you see Sean Kelly for Corporal's Corner. Corporal, he puts these up, and so does Canterbury. He puts them up so it reflects the fire back into your tent. So I didn't get a chance to get that out. I'm going to set this up and try to boil water in a plastic container. So this is another size one. I've got one that goes in between this one. This is actually an extra large. And then I've got a large that I had all my clothes in, all my BDUs and socks. I change socks twice a day. In the middle of the day, I would change socks, and then I change them before I went to sleep. And then in the middle of the day, I change socks because, you got to keep your feet important. So I had a 20 below sleeping bag, and the other thing that really was nice to have is this blanket. It's, like I said, I'm not big on doing, product reviews, but this is another. I can't say that Arcturus. So this blanket and that is the same brand. So that really would have been great. So I think if I was staying outside, I would have had my hammock low. I would have put my GI blanket that's in the car down first, sleeping bag, and then I would have had this inside my sleeping bag to keep me warm. Then I would have had this blocking the fire, and hopefully it'll stop raining enough for me to do this. The other thing I had with me, like I said, the military poncho. Here's that bag I have my clothes in. These things are awesome, man. You can clip them on to your packs. Like my pack isn't big enough, but this, I had my little mini bow saw, but that I didn't even use it. I had a tarp with me just in case. It was on the bottom of this too. And then here's my tent. Inside here, another 10 C's. I had a knife sharpener, didn't need it. I don't see anybody carrying a knife sharpener. I see them carrying a little stone, and I do have one of those in my LBE. I had some tent stakes, more socks, and then I had some leather gloves, some laundry bags that I use for foraging mushrooms. It's going to happen very soon. And I have my poncho liner in here. As far as containers, I did have 2 of these with me. They're in my haversack. This was on the back, on the outside of this. This was on the other side. This was in my car. So this one is 64 ounces. This is 40. So that's almost enough water for one day. This is 25 ounces, so that was plenty of water for one day. And then I had these 2. I had a Yeti with me and a Gatorade sports bottle. That the Yeti's 24 ounces, the sports bottle's 30. So in that 2 days, I was really out and about. I went through more than 128 ounces of water a day, which is a gallon. So there was a creek right next to us. It was dirty, but it was just muddy. And if I would have had to drink that water, I would have been fine. It wasn't in any part of the Ohio River. So all in all, it was a good trip. It was very educational for me. I know what I need to bring, and I brought just enough in each pack. I did bring my EDC pack with the Yeti and the Gatorade bottle in there, just because that has all my knee braces, ankle braces, It has some backup chargers for my phone. It's got like a couple of heating um, bricks for my hands. Emergency stuff. I had, Neosporin, Bengay. Actually, I didn't think I had Bengay in there. I had Icy Hot or Biofreeze. And I had some medicine that I was giving out to people, Tylenol, Motrin, things like that. I had anti-diarrhea stuff. I had stuff for your sinuses, stuff for sinus infection, stuff for allergies. So, all in all, good trip. I had a great time. If you ever get a chance to go to a men's camp, um, just to hear 50 or 60 men singing the Lord's word, um, the Gospels, uh, just it's just awesome. Lots of people got touched, and there are things. If you didn't get anything out of it, I don't remember what they said, but if you don't get anything out of a man's camp, there's something wrong with your heart and your relationship with Christ, because it was almost the last day when I realized that there was something that God wanted me to do, and acted on it as soon as I got back. So I'm gonna put all this gear together. The stuff that's behind me is what I pulled out of my Alice pack after it broke. I'm gonna go through all that, and I'm gonna pack up a lot of this stuff because I don't need extra stuff. All I need is this pack, my LBE, my bandolier, and my side pouch. Speaking of bandolier, and I had gloves that I just destroyed. So, me saying I don't have enough cordage, I put some cordage on here, and I didn't wrap it up right. So we're going to go through that, and we're going to wrap it up the way I should. The smell in here is just awesome. It smells like GI equipment and burnt wood, smoke. It's in my car, and I don't want it to go away. I love being in the outdoors. I love all the smells. So I'm going to basically do a wrap on this the way you would wrap up any handle. All I did was just start wrapping it around, and after I moved it around for a couple of days, it just went. I was just after the flat tire, we were traveling up the road, and all of a sudden traffic stops. I saw a set of tires from the southbound lane coming to the northbound lane, and there was an accident. In that accident, I know at least one person lost their life, because I saw him through the windshield sideways, dead. So wear your seatbelt. I can't stress anything else. So I'm going to leave this little knot on here, this bowline knot. So I'm going to start this out. Actually, I'm going to have to pull that through, I think. I'll leave it out. So I'm just going to do a loop down here, bring it back down to this knot here, and start wrapping. So wrap away. So I'm going to keep this loop here because I'm going to use it at the end. So now I'm going to have a little extra cordage on here. And it'll be around the tape. I need to start fires. So I did use some of my duct tape. I had the tape band-aids on my thumb. My electrical tape was working. I tried the tape that was in my first aid kit, and it wasn't very good. It was old, so I'm going to have to buy some new one. Put it in both kits. Did throw some gloves and mask in my first aid kits, just in case. Normally the first aid kits aren't for me. But you see how tight that's getting? That's getting really, really good. But always wear this bandolier, if you have one, close to your heart, close to your chest, close to your body, because it'll keep your lighter from not being able to be used. So I'm gonna have to do some little finagling here, but I'm just pulling the rest of that through that loop there. So this is what I was wrapping with. This is what going through that loop. I'm going to pull my string. So what this will do, it'll pull that cord all the way down through. So now it'll stay tight. And if you leave this end so you can tug on it, you can pull that off easy. So this will give me a place to put my ferro rod when I'm lighting a fire, and I'll do something with this. I don't know. I'll probably just tie them together. I'll leave them hanging. Doesn't matter to me. So we'll see how that fits. Wrong way. So I may cut it off. I may not. You know, most people cut it off, burn it off right here. I should probably go ahead and do that. But where's my lighter? Here. So I'll show you how sharp Grace is first. And you see me cut with my knives. Look how easy. Look how good that is. I love Grace. That's a manufacturer, Grace knives, and it's handmade. It's got a rosewood handle. It's not that much. It was only $40 at Amazon. So that's good. And I'll leave that for my ferrocite rod. So one thing I'm going to do probably with my SOG knife is I'm going to probably make a little pouch. Where did I put that? So there's a lot of post-mortem stuff that you want to do. But before I get to that knife, I would like to show you, it's going to remind me what I'm doing. These were my power packs for the day. Now, as I'm older, I need more energy. So I had some cookies, a few paydays, This is Gatorade powder. Some of the things that I really, really will endorse is liquid IV. So I got the energy multiplier, which works really well with my kratom, and the hydration packs. So I mix both of these because they're for a 16-ounce bottle and a 32-ounce container. And then I mixed one of these in a 24, my Gatorade bottle. The other thing, so I had two of those, 5 paydays. I had sardines. So I ate one of these every morning because I got up at like 4:30 in the morning. And then I had this power pack with basically it's trail mix. I didn't really eat it, but I did eat an MRE about 10 o'clock every day. So I had plenty of energy to hike up all the hills through the mud and everything else. And then I had cookies at night, paydays through the day. But I bought a bunch of these little bags so it would keep everything dry. Now let's get back to Grace. So I want this to be able to be in right here. So, and I could probably run some cord through there, but what I'm going to do is get this thing seated. And I know what you're all saying right now. Hey, what are you doing? It's going to stick to it. I don't know what you're saying. Hopefully you're saying good things because you're not supposed to talk bad about anybody, right? So I'm just going to wrap it up backwards and see how that works out. I'm doing it kind of loosely. And I think I'm going to leave it there. And then flip it around. You know, you buy these things, these cheap knives, and they got a ferrocerium rod, and it's in these little pouches right here. And I've got a couple of them still that I've got on, basically on hiking sticks. My one hiking stick has a compass, a magnifier for lighting fires, a ferrocerium rod, a knife. It's got everything I need. So this is actually working out good because I can take it out. I could put it back in. And there's a little lip here that it locks down into. And I could still use my hook, my clasp on the zip tie I put on there. Now, one thing about this, see how big this is? That's why it's going to go on my LBE. So one of the things, so I save room on a pocket, or like LBEs, they don't normally have a whole lot of pockets, you know, unless you put it in your butt pack. But I've got those Molly packs that I put on there. That's all I have for you today. So get out there, test your gear, modify your gear to you, you know. Somebody else sees this, they'll say, hey, maybe that's a good idea, maybe it's not. You know, the worst thing to do is lose your ferrocerium rod. So I've got these keychains that I bought that I used to use. I don't use this type of keychain anymore. I've used keychains that have clasps like this on this watch, where it's got a ferrocerium rod on one side and ferrous area or a piece of steel on the other side to strike it. It's got this little multi-tool in it, just in case. This is more of a gimmick watch. I wouldn't suggest buying one of these because the compass doesn't work. Even when you take this out, the compass doesn't work right because it's probably magnetized. It does have a thermometer that works pretty well. They come naturally with a dead battery. So I already returned one, and this one, it's just running slow. But I kind of like the little SOS on it. But it's more of a novelty. I did buy it just to have an analog watch, so I could use the analog watch for a compass. I don't own an analog watch anymore, and actually I think I own one, and it's very nice. And I want to take that out into the field, so I spent $25 on that. But that's what I do for keychains. I carry, 10Cs with me all the time ever since I've been doing this for a year. I can't not have that stuff with me, and losing my Alice pack, I don't really have a go bag unless I just dump a sleeping bag, which, summer's great. I could dump the sleeping bag. Winter I can't, so I'm gonna have to figure something else out. But yeah, inside my bag for my sleeping bag is a waterproof bag that I can put it in. I can also collect water in it too. So everything is a dual purpose, which is what the bushcrafters teach. And I'm, some of the stuff I think, yeah, okay, but the more and more I get out there, the more and more you should really listen to a lot of these bushcrafters. The Self-Reliance Outfitters, Dave Canterbury. He's got Sean Kelly as an instructor, and I believe Ranger Andrew is going to become an instructor there too. But they know what they're doing. I look at some of the beginners and intermediate classes, and I wouldn't pass because I can't start. I can pass the beginners, but the intermediate, I can't pass because I can't do a friction fire, But this summer, I'm gonna do friction fires. I'm gonna make my own bow saw. So, God bless you guys. Take care. I got a lot of plans for this summer. So stay tuned, and I'll catch you all on the flip side.